Hello everybody, welcome to Transy Learning Chemistry videos. Today we are going to discuss about test for organic compounds, and in that we are going to discuss about Haloform test. This is the part 1 of the video in which I'm going to explain you the concept about what is Haloform test and what kind of compounds will give you positive and what kind of compounds will not give you positive Haloform test. So in this video, we are going to discuss about that. Plus, we are going to do some examples which will help you to get the better understanding of the concept, how to use the haloform test to distinguish between different organic compounds. So let's start. In part 2 and further videos, I will come up with more examples of different compounds so that you get an idea how different compounds reacts to the haloform test. So let's start. First of all, what is Haloform test? Haloform test is a chemical test or a chemical reaction in which an organic compound is heated with iodine and sodium hydroxide. After multiple iodination and treatment with sodium hydroxide, a yellow precipitate of iodoform is formed. You can see here a yellow precipitate of iodoform is formed. This reaction is known as haloform test or the iodoform test. So in this case, you can see here we have an organic compound and we are putting iodine and sodium hydroxide. And after consecutive treatment, we are going to get the sodium salt of carboxylic acid and a yellow precipitate, which is known as an iodoform. So any compound which gives this yellow precipitate of iodoforms gives the positive haloform test, and the ones which are not able to give this yellow precipitate of iodoform will give the negative iodoform test. So now, what kinds of compounds show positive haloform test? So an easy way is to distinguish that any compound having CH3CO, that means any compound having this methyl ketone group will give you a positive haloform test. Or you can say ethanol is one compound which will give you a positive haloform test, or the secondary alcohol. That means when the hydroxyl group is present at the secondary carbon. So in that case, you can see that the three parameters that you can always use to check whether the compound will give you haloform test or not is whether it is a methyl ketone or a secondary alcohol or an ethanol. So you can see here acetophenone. It is definitely not a secondary alcohol nor ethanol. So we are going to look for the methyl ketone. So now if it is a methyl ketone, so that means it is going to give you the positive haloform test. Then we have the acetaldehyde. It is an aldehyde group. It is neither a secondary alcohol, neither ethanol. Yes, because it is not an alcohol, it is an aldehyde group. So we are going to look for methyl ketone. Yes, so it is going to give the positive haloform test. And then we have a ketone, that is pentane 2-one. Again, we are going to look for the methyl ketone. So three things that you have to keep in mind, that whenever you are looking at the compound, you have to either look for the methyl ketone, or it has to be a secondary alcohol, or it has to be an ethanol. If any one of these are present, then it is going to give you positive haloform test, else not. So here there is a trick to distinguish between the compounds. This is your methyl ketone. This is your secondary alcohol. And this is your ethanol. As I've told you, these are the three bases to look for compounds. For example, in acetaldehyde, yes, it is a methyl ketone. So it is going to give you the positive haloform test. Then ethanol, yes, it is going to give you positive haloform test. It is going to form the yellow precipitate. These two compounds will form the yellow precipitate of iodoform. Methanol, no, because it is neither methyl ketone, it is not a ketone, it is an alcohol. Neither it is a secondary alcohol, neither it is ethanol. So it is going to give you negative haloform test. Next, again, we are talking about aromatic compounds. So you can see here methyl ketone. So yes, it is going to give you positive haloform test. And propanol. No, it is neither a methyl ketone, neither it is secondary alcohol, neither it is ethanol because it is an aldehyde, right? It doesn't follow any of the criteria. So it is going to give you negative haloform test. So now the compounds showing negative haloform test. Remember that all aldehydes except acetaldehyde show negative haloform test because it is only aldehyde, that is CH3, C double bond O and H. Only the acetaldehyde has this methyl ketone. So that is the reason it will give you the positive haloform test. And the others they are not going to give you. For example, methanol, it doesn't follow the criteria. Our criteria is either methyl ketone or it is secondary alcohol or it is ethanol. So propitin doesn't follow that criteria. So no, methanol will also not going to show the haloform test. It will show negative haloform test. Propanol, no, it doesn't follow any of the three criteria. It is not ethanol and it is not a secondary alcohol. Phenol, it is an aromatic compound, but it doesn't have methyl ketone. It is not a secondary alcohol, of course, because it is an aromatic compound or aromatic alcohol, and it is not an ethanol. So it is an aromatic alcohol, phenol. It is not going to show you the haloform test. Benzophenone, it doesn't have methyl ketone, so it is not going to show you the positive haloform test. Only acetaldehyde in aldehydes is going to show you the positive haloform test. Others will show the negative haloform test. Now, let us understand haloform test with the help of examples. Now, the first example is distinguish between methanol and ethanol. You can clearly see that methanol is not a methyl ketone. Obviously, it is not a ketone. It is not a secondary alcohol also. It is not an ethanol. So it is not going to give you the yellow precipitate. Whereas ethanol, on reaction with sodium hydroxide and iodine, it is going to give you the methyl ketone. And this methyl ketone is going to form the yellow precipitate of iodoform on consecutive reaction with sodium hydroxide and iodine. So the ethanol is going to give you the positive haloform test, whereas the methanol is going to give you the negative haloform test. Next, example 2, phenol and ethanol. You can clearly see that phenol is neither methyl ketone, no, it is not a methyl ketone. Obviously, it is not a secondary alcohol, obviously, because it is an aromatic compound, and it is not a ethanol also. Obviously, it is an aromatic alcohol, that is a phenol. So it is not going to give you the yellow precipitate. Whereas ethanol, on reaction with sodium hydroxide and iodine, it is going to give you the methyl ketone. This methyl ketone on consecutive reaction with sodium hydroxide and iodine will give you the yellow precipitate of iodoform. Got it? Next is what you have is the benzoic acid and the ethyl benzoate. Now, you have to be very particular regarding the aromatic compounds. Not all aromatic compounds is going to give you positive haloform test. Not all will give you negative. So don't think if you see the benzene ring, if you see an aromatic compound, it is not going to give you the positive haloform test. Look for the three basic structure. That is what you have is the methyl ketone, or it is a secondary alcohol, or it is ethanol, right? So, getting the secondary alcohol or the methyl ketone is possible in the aromatic compounds. like that. So here, if we see the benzoic acid, in the benzoic acid, it is neither a methyl ketone, it is not having any secondary alcohol, right? So it was not going to give you any yellow precipitate. It is going to show you the negative haloform test. Whereas in the case of ethyl benzoate, please remember that before analyzing whether it is going to show you positive haloform test or not, please react with sodium hydroxide and boil it. Write the reaction and see whether it is going to give you any one of the three. If it is giving you methyl ketone or a secondary alcohol or ethanol, that means that aromatic compound is going to show you the positive haloform test. In the case of ethyl benzoate on reaction with sodium hydroxide, we are going to get sodium benzoate and ethanol. Now, ethanol on consecutive reaction with sodium hydroxide and iodine, it is going to give you acetaldehyde, which is a methyl ketone, and that is going to give you the positive test of the iodoform here. Right. So in this video, we have just covered three examples. In our other videos, we will cover up lot more examples so that you understand how you can use haloform tests to distinguish between compounds. Thank you all for watching this video. Part 1 ends here. Now in the part 2, we are going to distinguish between a lot of compounds as you can see on the screen, like pentane 2-one, pentene 3-one, acetophenone, benzophenone, and all. For more videos, please visit YouTube channel Trans E Learning. Thank you all for watching this video. Have a great day.